So now we're traveling all the way back to Australia and get to know more about the Gold Coast startup ecosystem. So our presenter will be Sharon, who is the Executive Director for the Gold Coast Innovation Hub. Gold Coast is currently 8th in Australia, 367th in the world, and they're excelling in fintech and software and data. Okay. Naomi, please. Hey, hi, Sharon. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, lovely to be here.
Great. Yeah, so thank you. You can share your, you can begin when you're ready, and let me know if you need any technical support.
Sure. Share screen. Hang on. Sorry, just trying to get my presentation to appear. There it is. And
We see it now. Thank you. And
see that. Full screen. Okay. So hi, everyone. My name is Sharon Honeywell. I am presenting today as the CEO of the Gold Coast Innovation Hub, but I'm really presenting today as a founder that has built a tech startup from the Gold Coast, scaled it internationally, and we had an exit last year. And so through that journey, I've come on board, or through that journey, we established a Gold Coast Innovation Hub. And so I guess I'm sharing from you today from a founder's perspective on what's so wonderful about the Gold Coast. So the Gold Coast is a city. A lot of you won't be aware of it. Most people, when they think of Australia, think about Sydney and Melbourne, but the Gold Coast is actually an absolutely stunning city. We are the 6th largest city in Australia. We have 57 kilometers of beautiful beaches. We have sunshine 300 days of the year. We have 260 kilometers of navigatable waterways. So behind our main city, which you can see in the picture, there's all these beautiful waterways that string behind it. And we also have a 4,524 hectares of World Heritage listed rainforest that sit at the back of our city. So it's an absolutely beautiful spot. And because it's such a beautiful spot, for a very long time, the economy on the Gold Coast was fueled by tourism. But around about 10 years ago, we decided, or there was a decision made by both people living on the Gold Coast and by a proactive council, that we should try and diversify the economy and to bring more technology companies. So the Gold Coast, as I said, is the 6th largest city overall in Australia. It's the largest regional city in Australia. And we've absolutely boomed during COVID. Now that as soon as people in the southern states moved into a work from home type arrangement, many people who'd been planning on retiring to the Gold Coast one day decided to get up here and start living their best lives. So we've had a huge amount of interstate migration to the Gold Coast in the last 2 years. Now, the Gold Coast has actually always been the capital of entrepreneurship in Australia. We have the highest level of entrepreneurship. We have an average of 2,700 new businesses starting on the Gold Coast each year, which is about 7 per day. And there's currently over 76,000 businesses registered on the Gold Coast. Now, what we came to realize is that even though we have one of the highest levels of entrepreneurship, around 20% of people of working age on the Gold Coast have a business. Most of those businesses were being run as sole traders or people that were trying to just create themselves a job. So the job of the startup ecosystem really in those early years, about 10 years ago, was about trying to change the perception of business on the Gold Coast from creating a job to actually creating a business that can employ people. So we took a look at the entire startup life cycle from people coming up with ideas and how to look at how they sort of progress through those ideas and get to their first few customers. And then we looked at where the gap was to growth, and we recognized that there's this gap after people get their first few customers, and if we can't assist them to see a vision of growing larger, if we can't give them the knowledge and experience from people that have grown bigger businesses before, if they don't have people there to support them and make them accountable to these bigger goals that they have, if they don't have the right connections, and most importantly, if they don't have the right funding models behind them, then they never end up getting to a stage of growth. So the Gold Coast Innovation Hub, which I was a co-founder of, was founded in 2017, so just over 5 years ago, to help people, to help bridge this barrier to growth and get more businesses getting out on that other side into a growth phase. So the Gold Coast, predominantly what makes us quite different from a lot of the other areas is we're very much a founder-driven ecosystem, but we're exceptionally well supported by a very proactive local and state government. We have great education networks. There's 4 top-class universities on the Gold Coast. There's a TAFE and there's multiple other educational institutions that all work with the startup ecosystem. We provide internship opportunities and opportunities for those for job placements. We have a growing investor community. So in the last couple of years, and so a lot of the companies that we've assisted across that growth gap have grown and scaled significantly and have now moved into, and have some of them have been acquired, and they've now moved into that investment and reinvesting back into the ecosystem. We have great transport links on the Gold Coast. We've got 2 international airports, one on the Gold Coast and one in Brisbane. Both are within 50 minutes drive from the main heart of the Gold Coast. World-class infrastructure, low cost of living, and a great give first culture. The Gold Coast is interesting. It does not have a CBD. It's a very long city because it runs along the coastline, but what we do have is these amazing precincts. So look in here on the screen, we've got a sports precinct, we have a movie and creative precinct, we have an arts precinct, and probably the most impressive and the most interesting one to the people on this call would be our health and knowledge precinct. So here's a little zoom in on the health and knowledge precinct. It's a cluster of hospitals, of the Griffith University, of co-working spaces and other organizations that can help to commercialize knowledge and technology for the health sector. And so this has been a phenomenal commitment from the state and local government that has seen some fantastic innovations growing, and it's becoming quite a large segment of our community. So these are some of the growing sectors on the Gold Coast. Software as a service is big. We've had lots of companies growing from there. Fintech, RedTech, health and sports tech, obviously with the health and knowledge precinct. And as a little note, in the past 3 years, the Gold Coast Hub and its members and alumni have raised over $30 million in early stage funding, scaled into 130 countries worldwide, and have been involved in over $100 million of merger and acquisition activity. So if you're interested in coming to the Gold Coast, let the Gold Coast Innovation Hub be your guide. We will connect you with the resources that you need. We will help you to settle here, and we would love to have you.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for sharing to us about Gold Coast and what entrepreneurs and investors can expect if they choose to move there. And as Sharon said, if you have any questions, feel free to message them, go to their website, or you can also message us at StartupBlink, and we'll forward any inquiries to them. Thank you again, Sharon. I hope you have a great evening. Okay, so